Hello. So I'm going to do a part 2 of my notes from Symbolic World. The last thing I talked about was purification was related to sacrificial ritual to the future. Sacrificial ritual to the future. Actually, purification. Paul mentioned something on a video that I posted recently, just kind of a compilation video about the purification of the church. And something about that's connected to YouTube, which is wild to say out loud. But sacrificial ritual to the future. So maybe these videos are some kind of sacrificial ritual to the future. I think my wife would probably agree that it's a sacrifice. Tongue in cheek, guys. So related to sacrifice, catharsis and tragedy. And I wrote scared versus fear. Catharsis versus tragedy happens through tragedy. Tragedy developed through sacrificial ritual. Tragedy of betrayal and exile, death with sacrifice. Told the story now a bunch on here. I'm not going to tell the story, but I had an experience where there was a definite demarcation between being terrified and fearful, quaking in fear. And once I sacrificed myself I submitted to the truth, there was real catharsis, relief, no longer afraid of the truth. Once that was sacrificed on the altar, that part of me, the reality of me, a true part of me that I was hiding. And this was a process that continued on, a practice, a ritual of this, really, of confessing to confessor, from betrayer to betrayee, again and again. And there was always catharsis, but at the cost and at the expense of the confessor, the person I was confessing to. It's it's almost like when you throw up and you have that catharsis after throwing up. It's very similar, except that if you're confessing to the person that you've betrayed or that you've wronged, it's kind of like the throw up is now on them. I saw that. I've seen that play out in my life many times. And that's also why in the sacrifice of confession, of laying the truth on the altar of reality, it's important to have good places to do that. Right now, our culture has very little by way of being able to ritualize that. There's therapists. Some churches still offer confession, and there's accountability groups and such. I don't think those are always very wise places to do that for multiple reasons I could talk about in the future. But I'm talking about accountability groups. But Pajot, identity formation, 2 goats, cutting out and offering up to cover you. Having trouble sometimes reading my writing. There was something about one goat was the scapegoat and the other goat was the sacrificed goat. The one goes free and there's a cost to one. Father Stephen, the dinner meal is also a communion with God and each other. Or maybe I wrote dinner, but maybe meal, maybe the Eucharist, maybe even the dinner meal. I think that is the level of hierarchy, because even Christ, from the communion table with the disciples to the body and the blood on the cross, is a hierarchy of communion. And I'm just having this thought of Christ being offered up so that it's a simple idea. of Christ being offered up so that we, as a right sacrifice, so that we could be in right communion with God. It's just, I just have these feelings and this, like I'm walking through it into a deeper feeling of that. I've known that story for my whole life. Father Stephen, the breakdown of ritual in society is a breakdown in meaning crisis, reconnect of ritual that shape you in the way. I've heard James Cortides talking to Jordan Hall this morning about their debrief, or actually it's not their debrief from Symbolic World. There was some of that there, but and I had a conversation with Lance Cleaver about the difference between ritual and liturgy. And I think that liturgy can be ritualistic, but that ritual goes down to my best and most concrete feeling of this is the dinner time. And you think about the Little House on the Prairie scenes where the girls are helping set the table and Pa's coming in and Ma's cooking in the kitchen, and there's this ritual to dinner, and there's a liturgy to dinner, and then there's the setting, and then there's the preparation and the laying down and the setting of the tables, and then there's the prayer, and then there's the meal and the conversation, and then there's the cleanup, and that ritual, which was taken totally for granted and for different reasons. I mean, we experience that more to a degree when we have dinner at my in-laws per se than when we have dinner at home a lot of times. That it's a breakdown of that ritual. We try to hold on to pieces of it and don't want to be legalistic towards it, but pursue it. Jordan B. Peterson, resource curse. Countries blessed with natural resources usually poor, unearned wealth separates corruption. Trust is, I can't read my handwriting. Unnatural resources. Trust is a natural resource, but it's hard to find. Countries blessed with natural resources are usually poor. Something like Venezuela and oil, something like the Middle East, like the general, America has natural resources, but some countries that where that's the only thing, they become corrupted, and then the mass of the people stay, because trust is broken down at the top, I guess, of the hierarchy of people that have the natural resources. Father Stephen, to be like God is to be like the spouse who stays with the betrayer, who remains faithful to the covenant, is to be God. I immediately texted my wife whenever he said that. Father Stephen, to be like God is to be like the spouse who stays with the betrayer. And you have stories in the Bible, Hosea, I believe, where he goes and he marries a prostitute who continues to betray him even in their marriage, continually. So Hosea is like God, and we are like his wife. But then take that into the personal, because this kind of betrayal happens in real life. All sorts of people. And I have felt like my wife is represents God or Christ in a way to me. And I know that I have in ways to her in our life as well, but like in these hierarchies of intimacy and vulnerability and relationship, that these things stack upwards and downwards. That you can have people who love you after betrayal, forgive you. And you have God who can and does do that. And even the person that you like directly transgressed. And that is to, I mean, that's some of the idea of the priesthood of the believer. But I think that there can be hierarchies to the priesthood of the believer. And I'm hoping that that moves into that even Protestant idea moves. I just saw Cale Zeldin post that in a large culture shift in the Catholic Church is that a lot or most of new Catholics are not cradle Catholics. They are converted Catholics. And if you're converting from, say, a history of evangelicalism, you will bring some of this culture into there with you. Even if you strive to change some of that, it's still a part of you. Vesper Stamper, oh, she was so cool. I mentioned this, I think, on one of my initial responses as I was kind of walking away from the conference, from the summit, as I was descending the summit. Vesper Stamper brought the feminine energy. She was the dot in the yin and the yang. Like if it was in male energy, that was, say, the black, and then there was the white dot. Vesper Stamper was the white dot. And it was beautiful. She was strong. And she spoke to the heart. And as I was talking to my wife, she said that it's probably because she was the only female platform that it made the contrast so much more clear in a type of energy, in a type of spirit. So we are in a pre-Christian society. She is not saying post-Christian, but a pre-Christian. So we've already been post-Christian. So if you're not Christian anymore and you are to maybe be Christian again, we are a pre-Christian society. What will the artist do? Oh man, I wanted to go to Richard Rowland's class. I went to the artist one begrudgingly because I think I am an artist, and that's been a journey for me to even get to that point to say that. Some people might think that's weird, but when you do cover music for a living for 15 years, you don't feel very creative. What do artists make of civilizational death? Of the broken pieces? We get to rebuild, we get to play, we get to cultivate. Yeah. Care. Attend. Response to industrial war yielded deconstructed artifice. Response to industrial war yielded deconstructed artifice. So when God died in World War II, Nietzsche, what was left, what was reconstructed was an artifice of the world before. Hollow. Void of meaning. She said it's deeply irrational for the artist to be disconnected from the body. Artists make art from the heart, not from the mind. Oh, that hit me so hard. It is deeply irrational for the artist to be disconnected from the body. Artists make art from the heart, not the mind. I've tried to make art from the mind, and it's not possible. It is a artifice, not art. Iconostasis. Art is transcendent, compressed. I think I made that up. Manifold greater reality in earth-encrusted form. art stuck in the borderland. An artist as a conduit for grace. The work of the young artist is to learn how to keep secrets. This is something I learned about. And maybe I'll keep that a secret. If you watch, I think it's today, or at least I'm releasing today, which is Wednesday, the 13th of March, my conversation with Justin Wells and Pete from Strange Theology, Justin from Justin's Morning Coffee. We talk about that. So that's a teaser. Go listen to it this afternoon or evening. I can't remember when it's going to air. Artists are open to revelation, but also manipulation. Artists can be architects of hope. Because artists are open, I guess, that to new ideas or new people or new inspiration, that does yield a possibility to be open for manipulation. I've experienced that in my life, and those are hard lessons to learn. How to keep secrets. You can't think about the afterwards. It pulls you out of the flow state. So if you leave gaps maybe while you're trying to create, that's okay. It leaves the secrets to be filled or to be pondered, to be delved into. What? Well, I took a lot more notes than I thought. Moving on to Martin Shaw's last session. He said, nothing grows under big trees, or at least under certain kinds of big trees. You think about, they soak up all the water, they don't let there be sunlight. But certain things grow better under big trees that can be shaded, that can be kept from the storm. He said it depends on the tree. He said, we're living in a time of ghosts, not ancestors. Maybe ancestors are close and there's intention, but ghosts are far and hard to grasp, hard to connect to. He said, the soul is fed by images. What are you? What are we? What am I feeding my soul? If you have a big dream, don't tell the dream what it is. Oh, that's stupid. Oh, that can't happen. That's too lofty. Don't just let it be. I'm talking to myself. Christianity has a zip code. Worship takes you there. Go to church, I guess. Be a praise maker, a maker of praise. Tend to the grace. If you don't have a song, you don't have a story. No song. Foxes have cigars, don't you know? Z told a story about a fox. It took me to the character in Pinocchio. Pinocchio takes me back to the goodness of Jordan Peterson. I won't try to explain his stories. Let's see. He said this from stage, a story 4,000 years ago can come at just the right time. Part of me wonders, I had a conversation with him about how 4,000-year-old story came at just the right time. And he threw that in there and I went, Did I share that? Is that something we're sharing together? Are you talking to me, Martin? It was cool. Well, I'll probably hold on to the rest of this. These were the applications for the just. These are the applications for the, and maybe that'll be the secrets I keep. So, everyone have a good day, and excited for more conversations in the future. Comment your thoughts. Let's connect. All right. Till next time.